Hello. This video clip is my reflection on the instructional delivery. And number one, how did I create a positive learning environment? I, as reflecting on my videos and watching them, and I, some of the things that I did were addressing the students by by their names. I think that's very important to, and especially that I didn't truly know the students or work with them on a regular basis. Um, I had them put name tags on their desk, which was very helpful to be able to call on them. Um, just in general, manners, using please and thank you and being respectful to modeling that to the students. Um, and then also expecting that from the students in return. Um, and in the clip, you'll see there was a situation where someone said an answer, and then the class started laughing, and I reminded them of the my lesson on noticing your neighbor, how we're a learning community, and we reviewed that real quickly on the spot. That it isn't appropriate to laugh at someone, which in turn I related it to creating a safe and caring environment for the students. And then also, I just think the simple things of that you don't think of, but making eye contact with the students. Um, Engagement. One instructional strategy that I used was scaffolding, and I think I used that throughout the entire three lessons, but then also within each different lesson, it was used to break the steps down for them to really build them up to the final project of writing their essay. So, um, and in the steps of scaffolding, I just kind of broke that down as related to the explicit instruction by Anchor and Hughes. And the first one, the declarative knowledge. And in that, I was able to get, help them discover the meaning of the words of the different types of persuasion. And in the video, and activating their prior knowledge and relating it to that, where the students I was asked them to, you'll see, give examples of different types of persuasions, and then I related it in one part in the video to a pro athlete. The student was very into football, and so I asked him to give an example of an ad he may have seen with a pro athlete. Also, there's an example in there of Pepsi and Coke. I think everybody's familiar with that, and I asked them to kind of raise their hand and do a quick show of who likes Pepsi, who likes Coke. And then procedural knowledge, how something is done. I think that, like I said, in within each of the sequence lessons, we really broke it down to model the I do, you do, we do, or I do, we do, you do. And first starting off by gaining their attention in the beginning video of just me making a statement of winter is the best season, and then kind of having them grasp the idea on their own before telling them what we were doing. I opened that with the first lesson and have them to really explicit the word persuade after we went through that lesson without telling them what the lesson was about. I had them write their names on post-it papers and then come up to the front of the board and put it under agree or disagree. And then I explicit the word persuade. Um, and that's in the video clip. And then also um, procedural knowledge, modeling, and then showing them kind of through the persuasion map what a claim is. That's your topic sentence, and using the graphic organizer um, as a tool for kind of we modeled that together in a follow-up story where I read a persuasion story, and they could organize their thoughts with me, and then um, at the end they did it where I read an article on candy, a couple articles, and then they could on their own apply what they have learned. And then conditional knowledge, when it's appropriate to use these certain skills and when not to. So um, in the clip, and I'm talking more about behavior in the clip I'm talking about right now, was with the EBD student, and I could, um, with this particular part of scaffolding, I was able to relate it to his goal of writing sentences of, there was a time where he was using period, and I had kind of explained to him, "No, isn't that's your gain attention sentence? So you could use, is there a different form of punctuation you could use?" And then also in there, when it's appropriate to use a certain strategy related to conditional knowledge. One of the students gave an example of homework and how to persuade his teacher or parents he doesn't need to do it. And he said, I asked him why, and he said, because it's boring. So I further asked questions, and then with the assistance of another student, by asking those questions, he came up with the example of it gives him a headache, and when he studies too hard. So then I kind of use that as an example of to the class, which one sounds more feasible, which one would be more believable, or a better reason why you could, not do your homework for the evening or whatever. So they were able to kind of come up with headache would be a better example than it's just boring. Feedback, how I would provide that, or how I provided this to the students. I could do it through direct observations during the lessons. When asked a question, I could immediately give feedback to them, which in turn the whole class could be part of that. Through small group instruction, I was really able to kind of dig into their knowledge of and gain an understanding of what they were understanding through the worksheets, through the persuasion maps that we did together and they did on their own and as a group. And then also, and talking about the lesson and then the EBD student, I was able to give him feedback by, at times he was giving kind of silly, funny answers, but I would question him and we would come up with where a silly answer I would help him come up with a way of presenting his ideas for the examples for the persuasion um, topics, and help let him kind of turn it into more of a correct answer. So, for example, in the video, he was kind of fixated on sharing an example about getting pancakes for cleaning his room, and a lot of the kids were laughing at him. And in fact, I reminded the class that this wasn't an okay example. For whatever reason, they were laughing at him, and reminded him that that's not okay to do. And then gave a follow-up example of to the class, or I proposed a question saying, for example, my kids, when they have a good week or do an expected behavior at home, from time to time will allow them to pick a pizza restaurant they want to go to. So I kind of used his example that the class thought was funny, and in fact it was an actual good example that the EBD student was presenting. So analysis, one thing that I would do differently if I was going to do this again, and actually I think I had way too much material for the 4 lessons or the 4 times I was there. I think I could have spent on each one lesson, could have been broken down and shorter in the segments I was teaching, just to allow more time to really get grasp and all, or so they spend more time so the students could really do a nice job. I was thinking about the EBD student and his ability. I would have, had more modifications for him. Not a whole lot more, but I guess I would have, used something like a word recognition app or research space to help him in his writing. Maybe a handheld spell checker, and then also just allow more time, I think, in general, not only for the students on the IEP, but just the entire class. So thank you.